It's been a busy week here in the Inland Northwest, so let's get you caught up with the KREM 2 News Week in Review. I'm Cody Proctor. Thanks for watching. Over the next half hour, we'll take a look at some of the news you might have missed from the past week here in the Inland Northwest. Let's get started with one of the week's biggest stories.
Outside a Washington State Patrol office in Tacoma, Trooper Tara Marissa Gooding's car sits as her memorial.
I didn't know if it was her car.
Rayshawn King, an Army veteran like Gooding, says she was like a mom to him.
I walked up and was able to talk to the officer that's sitting over there, and he told me that that was her car, and it just broke me.
Yeah, it's super sad, you know.
Luke Ka'akau Jr. worked with her reviewing body camera footage. When he learned she was from Hawaii like him, he brought flowers.
You know, she served her community when she was in Hawaii and she made it over here.
Christmas is just 4 days away.
This close to Christmas, too. I mean, I've got to be bad for the family.
Her family is flying in from Hawaii. Her best friend, Alyssa Garber, is also flying in from Colorado.
Tara was my best friend in the entire world, as well as my children's godmother.
Garber says Gooding was small in stature but fierce, a devout Christian and proud Hawaiian who dreamed of saving lives.
She just wanted to save the world, honestly.
This isn't an isolated incident. This past week, there were at least 5 crashes involving Washington State Patrol troopers. One just this morning. A trooper helping a disabled driver when another car hit them. The driver was distracted.
The frequency now is just, there's no words for it, especially when a tragedy like this happens.
WSB says for Gooding, the first vehicle that struck her likely did not do so intentionally. The driver stayed and cooperated, but the impact threw her into another lane where a second car, dark pickup truck, hit her and left. Tacoma police are still searching for that vehicle. In the newsroom, I'm Christian Balderas, King 5 News.
The service happened here at the Denny Murphy Clinic on 2nd Avenue. Many of its organizers and attendees hope the lives aren't forgotten and that more is to be done to try and end homelessness in Spokane. Folks gathered in the parking lot of the clinic to hear from homeless advocates in the community. In Stephen Martin's case, he can speak to the hardships of being without a home in Spokane for several years. He says he's known people in the same position who have passed away on the streets.
A lot of my friends have OD'd and died. And it seems to be it's sad, very sad.
It's a loss Chaz Health wants to shine a light on through Monday's memorial service for the homeless population they helped treat who died in 2025. Chaz Health organizers say they counted 217 people taken too soon. A video played during the service featuring interviews with friends and families of the deceased and medical professionals saying each of their first names and last initial. Those names were displayed along the fence of the clinic for anyone walking by to see. The memorial ended with Chaz staff providing hot food and drinks to anyone attending.
It's important to recognize the stakes and to address the problem appropriately.
Dr. Luis Manriquez with Chaz Health says the service is designed to bring more awareness and humanity on the topic.
Homelessness is treated as like a political issue devoid of humanity. And so it's important to recognize the actual people on the street and the suffering that they go through.
It's a recognition Martin says he's thankful to see, hoping the memorial will help remember the lives lost.
It just means a lot that they want to put something on like this.
Connor McAvoy, KREM 2 News.
But we need to look to the future. We have a regressive tax system, and that's an understatement. And look, we need to change that.
We knew Democratic legislators wanted to pursue an income tax when they came back in January, but now we know they will have the backing of the governor. Ferguson said only those who earn more than $1 million a year would pay it, about half a percentage point of Washingtonians, he says. It would have to generate funding for the state's low-income tax credit program. He's calling for a sales tax reduction for personal hygiene items, including clothing and diapers. And the money raised would go towards schools and small businesses.
We are facing an affordability crisis. It is time to change our state's outdated, upside-down tax system to serve the needs of Washingtonians today. To make our tax system more fair, millionaires should contribute more towards our shared prosperity.
We don't have a revenue problem. We have historic revenue in the state of Washington. What we have is a spending problem.
Republicans are ready for a fight. The top Republican budget writer in the House says an income tax is not needed or legal.
It is solely unconstitutional, And the voters of Washington State, including myself, have said multiple times over and over and over again that they do not want income taxes in this state.
For the short term, the governor says the current budget woes should not require new taxes. But like several state highways right now, the budget has holes and requires immediate help. While he wants to increase spending for new housing and ferries, there would be cuts. The governor's staff estimates the deficit to be $2.3 billion. Instead of raising taxes, Ferguson is proposing taking $1 billion from the state's emergency savings account, the so-called rainy day fund, coming up with $500 million by transferring dollars from other funds, including the Climate Commitment Act, and the elimination of some tax breaks. $800 million would come from cuts to state programs, from education to nursing homes.
I'm mindful that for state agencies, they took a pretty big hit in the budget that we adopted earlier this year, for sure. And they're taking another hit.
As for the millionaire's tax, Governor Ferguson hopes lawmakers pass that next year. He would like to see it go into effect in 2029. He says ultimately voters will probably have the final say, and he also expects it to be challenged in court. He does say he's confident that it would survive that legal challenge. In Olympia, Drew Mickelson, King 5 News.
As we go to break, here's a check of your weekend forecast. Welcome back to the KREM 2 News Week in Review. Each weekend, we walk you through headlines for the past week in the Inland Northwest.
We're going to have students and families that don't have their needs met.
The American Falls School District is one of 22 districts in the Gem State benefiting from a federal full-service community schools grant.
It hasn't just strengthened our schools and our kids, but as a whole, it's strengthened our community of American Falls.
In 2023, the U.S. Department of Education awarded the nonprofit United Way of Treasure Valley nearly $46 million for a 5-year community schools grant to support rural Idaho schools. The funds help place community coordinators in schools to bring resources in that communities need more access to.
When families have their needs met, kids can come to school prepared to learn, ready to learn, and they'll be able to do better there.
Superintendent Randy Jensen says there's a coordinator in each of their 4 schools. They've brought in resources like food pantries, dental clinics, and mental health services.
Those services that are really valuable to our community.
But earlier this month, the U.S. Department of Education let the nonprofit know the grant is being cut off 3 years early and funds would stop at the end of the month, putting 60 full-time staff positions in jeopardy.
Just finding out that we're going to lose the total funding for them in just 2 weeks is pretty tragic for us.
The Department of Education cites the program focuses on diversity, equity, and inclusion instead of fairness and education excellence. But Jensen pushes back on that.
All this has to do with providing the help they need. And by helping people, that does raise our academic standards and our academic success.
And with 2026 budgets already set, Jensen says it could be hard or impossible for districts to try and retain these positions on their own.
It'll hurt our students, hurt our student families, and in the long run, it'll hurt our community.
It was opening day for Snoqualmie Pass, and most of the cars here have already cleared out, but it was fairly busy. The resort says that with Stevens Pass closed, they're anticipating possibly larger crowds in the days ahead. Out here at Summit West and Snoqualmie Pass.
And we had breakfast sandwiches in the morning. We just ate some grilled cheese and ham sandwiches.
These guys were here early for opening day.
We've been looking forward to this day for the whole season, really.
This is the only ski resort within a 2-hour drive from Seattle. The neighboring competitor, Stevens Pass, is closed, partially due to Highway 2 being washed out in this month's flooding. The state says the repairs will take months. Season pass holders just learned they won't be hitting the slopes anytime soon or getting a refund. The Epic Pass for any Vail-owned resorts is over $1,000. But for the Stevens Pass only option, skiers are now out about $400.
If it were me, I would be pretty upset too.
They really need to do something, or I think they're going to lose a lot of customers.
Elena Gagne says she's an Epic Season Pass holder. In an Instagram post, the resort said people may be able to take a detour via the east side of Highway 2
If you were coming from Seattle, you'd have to go through Leavenworth. That's a 180-mile trip one way, or about a 4-hour drive, far greater than the usual hour-and-a-half car ride.
To go to Stevens? No.
Yeah.
Gagne says she's going to try to make the most of it. Her Epic Season Pass also gets into Whistler in Canada. The next season, she's not buying it again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd probably switch to Icon.
Washout says that they're working on 3 separate sections of Highway 2, but they haven't committed to a timeline. So as of right now, there is no telling when you'll be able to drive up to Stevens Pass. In Snoqualmie Pass, I'm Christian Balderas, King 5 News.
Thanks for joining KREM 2 News this weekend. I'm Cody Proctor. Right now, we're taking a look back at some of the news stories from the past week.
One winter night in Monroe last February, inside this barn, a foal was born in freezing conditions.
Scooped her up.
14 degrees that morning.
14 degrees. Well, because I knew that we were kind of dealing with a dire situation.
The baby donkey was born premature.
2.5 weeks into her little life, Mom tragically passed away. So at that point, we were on our own.
Brenda and Mike Olson stepped in, determined to care for the tiny orphan. They named her Elsa after Disney's Frozen, a nod to the cold night she survived.
I think we were within probably 15-20 minutes of losing her.
Just as Elsa gained strength, another challenge emerged, a severe infection from a leg injury that spread into the bone.
And at that point, we were at a crossroad. We had 2 choices. One of them was that we put her down, and the other one is that we amputate, which we didn't even know was an option.
Their vet consulted with WSU College of Veterinary Medicine to save Elsa's leg
good girl.
And her life.
He gave us okay. The very next day, we threw her in the back seat of the truck and over to Pullman we went.
These are the cases that we live for as veterinarians, you know, the animals that are going to survive in spite of us sometimes.
Dr. Kelly Farnsworth from WSU was part of the team that amputated Elsa's leg, then helped make her prosthetic leg.
As soon as she realized that she could use that leg again without it hurting, she just immediately began walking around, and you know, her demeanor changed and everything started to really make a rapid progression from there.
Ready, sweetie?
When the Olsons returned to WSU to pick up Elsa, the entire veterinarian team surprised them with a custom frozen blanket for their miracle patient.
Say thank you for taking such good care of you.
Miracles don't always come wrapped in ribbons or bows. Sometimes they arrive on 4 legs, one of them brand new, just in time for the holidays.
And I promised her I would give her the best possible life ever, that she didn't have to worry about her.
In Monroe, Madison Wade.
That's her goal.
King 5 News.
Can you spin? Say spin, spin.
Caden is as cute.
Are you dancing? Yeah.
As any toddler.
Yeah.
But at 2 years and 4 months, he's just now learning to move around.
Or are you gonna boot scoot? Say, I'm new, I'm mobile now.
Although this slower pace isn't a surprise to parents Marin and Tristan, they've known since his 2nd week of life that progression will take longer. Caden was born at 33 weeks. Early tests while pregnant showed some kidney issues, but no other concerns were flagged.
We really just thought he was premature and gonna have, you know, the kidney obstacles, but didn't suspect anything else.
Then, while in the NICU at Seattle Children's, they were approached about a new study that would test Caden's genetics.
Both of us default to we'd rather know more than less.
Then they got a diagnosis they never saw coming. A syndrome that can carry a lot of issues.
They give out 2 handouts, it's front and back of, you know, eyes, here are the things that can be wrong, skin, here are the things that can be wrong, ear, you know, like, and so we got referred to neurology, cardiology, ophthalmology, audiology, like right off the bat, you know, all these people coming into his room at the NICU.
Caden is one of 4,000 babies tested inside the Seattle Children's NICU, part of a first-of-its-kind study called Seek First. Dr. Mike Baumschad is the head of genetic medicine at the University of Washington and Seattle Children's Hospital.
So it's enabling us to make diagnoses in children much earlier than we would have anticipated.
He says the Seek First study prioritizes NICU babies who don't have a clear reason for being there, just like Caden.
Well, we know their prior risk for having a genetic condition just by being admitted to the NICU is high. So let's virtually test everybody unless we're confident their clinical findings are explained by something else. And when we did that, we dramatically improved access to a genetic diagnosis.
This study proves 1 in 3 babies in the NICU have an underlying genetic condition, says GeneDx's Senior Vice President of Medical Affairs, Britt Johnson.
We took a really broad approach. So instead of having very complicated criteria to say this is when a baby should get rapid genome sequencing, the study just says, hey, if a baby did not have symptoms that are fully explained by some kind of birth trauma or infection or prematurity, but are, in the NICU, so there's a problem, that they should be getting rapid genome sequencing.
Sharing every detail of any genetic problem in as little as 48 hours, a process that without this could take more than 5 years to diagnose.
We realized when we did our study of Seek First that about 42% of the diagnoses that were made would have otherwise been missed had we not used these broad criteria for who is eligible for whole genome sequencing.
That instant knowledge setting babies like Caden leaps and bounds ahead.
I was on maternity leave, so I was able to do, when we got out of the NICU, all of those appointments and his specialists, during that time off, versus like if we'd find out when he was a year or two, then having to go back and do all those things while still trying to work a full-time job would be really, really hard. So in hindsight, I'm so thankful for the early testing.
The family now has every gadget to help things like delayed speaking.
One more.
Almost.
Color.
There you go, buddy. Do you want to color?
You want to color? Should we get it? We can put you in your wheelchair and you can color.
They knew he'd have mobility issues, so they got a wheelchair.
Yeah.
The simple knowledge of this issue from day one, giving them as much time as possible to set up Caden's little life for success.
Good coloring, yeah.
For them.
Ready, set, go.
At the end of every day, the hurdles become small speed bumps.
Go, bye-bye car.
And they can focus on the road ahead.
Yes, you have taught your mom and dad a lot in your short little life.
Leah Pizzetti, King 5 News.
Welcome back to the KREM 2 News, a week in review. We hope you're having a great weekend. Let's get back to one more story you might have missed this past week.
Very good. Oh, looky here. I've been waiting here for you to come by because I've got this just for you.
Thank you. The Santa of Sandpoint is about the friendliest sidewalk ornament a shopper could wish for, even on one of the busiest shopping weekends of the year.
Take some candy. Make your day a pleasant day. Thanks so much. Y'all enjoy the holiday season.
You see, even though the ski town of Sandpoint is just as full of gift shops and Christmas decorations as your average mall, there's a lot less hustle and bustle here, and that leaves more time for singing.
So on, dance around, Prancer on, Vixen on, Comet on, Cupid on, Donner and Blitz to the top of the roof, to the top of the wall. He's coming to wish Merry Christmas to all.
The Sweet Adelines serenade downtown Sandpoint every weekend from Thanksgiving to Christmas. And they say that on any snowy day, there's no more Christmas spirit than right here.
I see it in the faces of all the people and all the towns. I see it in the faces of children. I see it in the faces of all visitors around here shopping. I love it.
And when darkness begins to fall on Schweitzer Basin, guess who shows up at the ski lodge? Well, how about some snow for Christmas? No wonder some people want to call this place Santa Point. In North Idaho, ho, ho, I'm Tom Grant for Northwest Notebook.
Keep it here for more news and weather updates throughout the weekend. And don't forget, you can watch our latest newscasts anytime on your schedule on KREM 2 Plus. Download and watch right now for free. I'm Cody Proctor. Thank you for watching the KREM 2 News Week in Review.